Good afternoon. Welcome to 30 Frames a Second. I'm Greg Lassiter, your host. We have an amazing show for you today. We're going to talk about the upcoming elections. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imotenu.
On the block where I used to live, everybody had a dream. Something off the block, out of there, to another place. You couldn't make it through the week without a dream. Across the hall, Doña Teresa had a dream, hitting the number, going back to Puerto Rico, bringing all her children and grandchildren back with her to live together in the same little town where she was born, high in the mountains, looking out at the sea. You couldn't make it through the week without a dream. On the stoop, Little Willie's on a mission, cheap joint, the loose joints, real cheap. He has a dream knowing the really big hustlers, making really big dope deals, an apartment on the west side, staying high all the time, and never ever again going to school. You couldn't make it through the week without a dream. In the schoolyard, teenage Rosie dances to the big radio. She has a dream, a well-dressed, serious, respectful young man who will marry and take her away to a fine White House in Queens in her dream. This guy also loves to take her dancing 5 nights a week in high-priced, fancy clubs. You couldn't make it through the week without a dream. On the corner, Fat Ralphie, the wino, actually watches like a hawk every day when the Brinks armored car goes by. He has a dream one day a bag of money will fall off the truck and he, Fat Ralphie, will get it because he has been watching in his dream. He knows exactly how he will scoop up the money, slip it in a paper bag from the garbage, and step slow around the corner, never coming back to the block again as long as he lives. You couldn't make it through the week without a dream. On the top floor, home from work, Sammy with the long hair has a dream. Rock and roll, Madison Square Garden. One move of his guitar sends thousands of teenage girls screaming. They tear their hair, they storm the stage, they pull down his pants in his dream. Sammy forgets the guitar he got for Christmas long ago, lays under the bed broken, and anyways, he never learned to play. You couldn't make it through the week without a dream. Down the block in the True Light Church, a whole bunch of people had a dream. One day the clouds would open and Jesus Christ himself would come down with his robes all white and shiny and lift them up off the block to a place far, far away that was clean, pure, spotless, and had no alternate side of the street parking. You couldn't make it through the week without a dream. Some dream the daily double at Yonkers Raceway. Some dream robbing a bank and buying a farm in New Jersey. Some dream the New York State Grand Jackpot Lotto. Some dream killing the boss and running with the money in the safe. Some dreamed an accident, getting just a little crippled and collecting $20 million. So many pipe dreams. Some dreamed with a pipe, and me too. I had a dream that one night, in that one quiet minute just before the dawn, the whole block would dream the same dream together. And that morning, like the day after, a gigantic, soul-satisfying party, we would know we don't need to be movie stars or go to heaven with an electric amplified harp, but right here on the block, we might start out together in the long and lifetime struggle for the survival of our souls. And we would know anything is possible if we dream the same dream together, cause on the real side, on that block, you couldn't make it through the week without a dream.
30 frames a second. I got the man, the myth, the legend, the creator himself, Nat Wood.
Hey,
Welcome
brother.
to your show, brother.
It's good to be here.
What we just saw, okay, let's start off talking about the poet, Professor Louis.
Yeah.
That was amazing, and that's how people live.
Right.
Can't make it through the week
Right,
without a dream.
right, right.
That says a lot. That's very prolific.
We have to maintain some semblance. I wouldn't call it keep hope alive, but you have to aspire to something just to make it day to day, especially if you come in places that are difficult places.
Right. The world has become a difficult place.
The world has become a difficult place. I can't. The past week has been incredible.
Yeah.
The rats at the end, there were 5 rats there. The same amount of rats that was on the woman's kitchen counter in the NYCHA housing.
Right.
So it's symbolic of a lot of stuff that you go through. And when you say we couldn't make it
through the week
without a dream, it's the truth.
It's the
you
truth.
have to have something, that you aspire to.
America, since in the last 800 days, since the inception of 45, has increasingly become more racist. We always knew America was racist.
And the world is going the same way.
Right. But since the inception of Trump, racism has reared its ugly head to the point where we've gone back to the 50s and 60s where people just didn't care.
No, not 50s and 60s. Try 30s and 40s.
30s and 40s, yeah, that's even worse. Yeah, back then.
Yeah.
But the crazy guy, we got the guy, they found the guy with the bomb. Like we had a scare here in New York. Yeah, Sayoc, yeah.
Sayoc, whatever his name is.
It's actually that's ironic because that same place that they found him, I've been in that place before because I was down in Florida. I lived in Plantation, Florida.
Right.
Black man live in a place called Plantation, Florida. There's something drastically wrong there, okay? But
no, Florida is a planet. That's almost redundant.
But this week alone has been crazy with these nuts killing people because of their ethnic background.
And it's global. There's a rise in right-wing groups in Europe, in France. Brazil is a mess. Brazil is stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea.
That's right.
On the one hand, it has all of these gangs that poverty has created.
Right.
A lot of them. They thought the Olympics was going to make it better. It just made it worse.
That's exactly right.
On the other hand, they've elected this right-wing fascist guy.
Fascist Nazi guy.
As so they're stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea.
But now here's what I'm afraid of, that we as Americans, we can't keep letting this go on. I know some of us.
We're the catalyst.
Right, but exactly. But we have to stop it because we don't want to think this is the norm.
It's the catalyst, and that's why I say it's not the 60s. In the 60s, there was. It might not even be in the 40s, but in terms of white supremacy, for lack of a better word, and imperialism, and all races bowing to it.
Right.
It's closer to the 30s and 40s because in the 60s there was a lot of resistance, and the resistance was global.
Right.
When you saw the civil rights movement in the 60s, you also saw the birth of gay rights. What was the bar on downtown?
Downtown. Yeah, I know you're talking about the first gay bar that. Yeah.
You also saw the rise of the IRA.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw like global movement, global resistance to fascism.
But what happened, Nat? Because we as a people, and I'm speaking for black and brown people mostly, but we as a people, Where's the resistance?
We got lulled into a sense of false security. As a result, our children came with no knowledge of the past.
History.
So they have no immune mechanism. They have no mechanism to combat what's going on.
Right.
They're like lambs to slaughter,
Right.
because they have no concept of it.
And with that said, this past weekend was also the young black conservative.
That is correct.
They all marched on Washington.
That is correct. That is correct. No, they didn't march on
They
Washington.
didn't march, but
they were
they're
invited by Trump. And this is like Stacey Dash and Larry Elder. It's called
Candace Owens.
Right. Candace Owens.
Right.
It's called the Young Black Leadership Summit.
Conservative Summit. Yes. Right.
Yeah. But it's Candace Owens, Stacey Dash,
Right.
Larry Felder.
Right.
You know.
But my problem with that, Nat, there's nothing wrong with being
you
a
only
conservative.
have one problem with that?
No, I got a lot of problems with it, but the main problem is it's okay to be a conservative, but it's not okay to support white supremacy.
Well, see, this is the tricky part. This is the part that doesn't compute with me.
Okay.
If you are truly a conservative, if you truly believe in self-sufficiency, if you truly believe in achievement, educationally, financially,
Right.
if those are your values, then why are you gravitating toward Trump? It's like you're looking for people who gravitate toward Trump are people looking for a handout, some sort of somebody to come and keep the coal mines
Right.
open,
Right.
somebody to help the fund. But I'm serious.
No, you
I'm
are
serious.
right.
It does not seem the movement unless and they're too young to be. I can see Candace because stocks is her game.
Right.
I can see where she's coming from.
Right.
I can see Larry Felder and Stacey Dash because that's where their bread is buttered. But I don't understand why young black conservatives would need a white savior and why they would want that white savior to be a nationalist.
But here's the thing. Here's the problem I have with that, Nat. Forget being conservative. Forget being a Republican or Democrat.
Right.
You're supporting white supremacy.
That is the part. But I really think that the young people who were at Trump, just like the young people who are for that what's his name in Brazil, they are not privy to the facts of what it is that they're
But Nat, it's not only
groping
that.
for.
It's not only that.
They don't even understand what this is.
Right. If they knew the history.
Right.
If you knew your history, you wouldn't be there. But what's sad about it is their parents know the history.
If you kept up with current events, you wouldn't be a part of it.
Right.
Because it is indeed the nationalist movement, and I'm gonna call it white supremacy.
Because it is.
And imperialism, even more than racism. Racism is a part of it.
Right.
But white supremacy means that we think that we are first,
Right.
that we have a sense of entitlement
Right.
and a sense of dominion
Right.
over everything there is. Black is last in that,
Right.
but there's a pecking order.
Right,
The
right.
the one constant is we're first.
Right.
So in the sense that they just irrationally hate blacks and Jews and we'll get to that
Right.
issue because we got off with that issue.
Okay.
Is a misnomer when you look at groups like the Proud Boys.
Right.
the Proud Boys have a sense of entitlement,
Right.
a sense of ownership,
Right.
more so than they have an animus against blacks and Jews.
Right,
They
right.
think blacks and Jews and brown skins have a pecking order.
Right, they're
but
second class.
Right,
They're
right.
second
but
class.
they have dominion.
Right.
That's why their motto is they're the
Right, right.
the
The
Proud
Proud Boys.
Boys.
But-
Their motto is I will never apologize for creating the modern world.
But they didn't create the modern world.
But
But
I
see,
didn't
but-
say
but-
it. I
no,
didn't
but
say
my-
it was
but-
rooted in fact.
But see, people drink the Kool-Aid. Because if you see white guys going by, get out of my country. This is not your country.
the Kool-Aid is good
They got
if
sugar.
it's the flavor that I wanted.
Grape.
Not the flavor everybody else wanted. I wanted grapefruit Kool-Aid. Everybody else wanted
Grape Kool-Aid.
grape or cherry or
Right.
something like that. But we're you're gonna have everybody else is gonna have to sip on this grapefruit
Right.
Kool-Aid. You're the only one who gets the sugar.
Right.
You know,
But I look at these young conservatives.
Yes.
I blame their parents. Their parents, they know the history. So if your parents know the history and the parents paved the way, why would they let their kids go to this?
Bears catch salmon. They travel upstream.
Right. That's a
And
good
when the
analogy.
salmon jump, they grab the salmon. Now,
Sometimes the salmon
this
just jump in their mouth.
Right.
Right.
But this is not simply because their parents taught them. It's because they have been indoctrinated for this since the first bear found out, oh, damn, I got a fish. Ever since then, they've been standing there. So it's generational. White supremacy is not as simple as your parents.
Right.
And a lot of people don't have the most ideal parents, and their parents are even more confused than they were.
But now we are parents. We're parents.
Yeah.
We taught our kids history.
Yeah.
We taught our kids what white supremacy is.
Yeah.
We taught our kids how the world works. We taught our kids how America works.
And white
black children.
supremacists taught their kids how it works too, in their favor.
But yes, in their favor. But look what we turned out.
Right.
Look how our kids turned out.
Right.
What happened after our kids?
Right.
That's what I'm lost by.
But eternal vigilance. Just because you've reached a point that may or may not be satisfactory to you. With some people, it has nothing to do with money. It's always like moving forward. Some people, it's an economic status. But whatever it is, I do know one thing, that there are forces that are coming at you, and the price is eternal vigilance.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. That's good, man.
We thought that everything, it was just kiss-a-boo-boo when
Right.
they had a black president.
Right.
It didn't make it better.
No.
It made it worse because
Absolutely.
it really like scotched the bushes
Right.
and got the boogeyman to notice that these Negroes are taking over.
Right. And that's what scared white supremacy.
That's what scares white supremacy. So white supremacy was always there,
Right.
lingering
Right.
in
Right.
abeyance,
Right.
always.
Right.
And the moment you think that everything is better, it makes its move.
But that's true. But see, a true visionary would see that coming. And we as black people have been through the struggle. The struggle is real.
Yes.
The struggle is real.
Yes, it is to us, but you've heard this generation. Yeah, I mean, and it's not their fault. They've been totally removed from the struggle. A lot of it is our fault because after the 70s, we lulled ourselves into a false sense of security,
Right.
and told ourselves that Martin had made everything better for everybody. We could just go out and buy them big old shoes,
Right.
and sing our little songs,
Right. That's true.
and hold hands, and everything was gonna be fine.
But Nat, let me ask you something though. You got white privilege,
Right.
And the way our kids act, this generation act,
Right.
is sort of a privilege entitlement as well.
Because they think they can change the world by simply getting a few dollars in their bank account. Let me remind you of something. Let me remind you of something. And I really want to get into a lot of it because a lot of stuff happened, not just
Pittsburgh.
Not just Pittsburgh. Also, I wanna talk about white supremacy light, you know,
Right.
and I'm gonna mention Bibi because well, I think he's one of them.
Right. Really?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, I agree.
But let me remind you of something. This is not the first time that blacks have attained levels of wealth and prosperity in America.
No, that's right. That's right.
As a matter of fact, there were wealthy and prosperous blacks during slavery.
Right.
The quote-unquote mulatto elite happened before the abolition of slavery.
That's right.
In like the 1830s.
1830, 1840s,
yeah, somewhere in there.
Right.
Somewhere in there. There was both a brown elite and a black elite.
Right.
That happened. That spun Denmark Vesey in them.
Right.
That was long before slavery ended. Slavery didn't end until officially 1863, but nobody told anybody.
For a year
they didn't
later.
find out till 2 years later.
2 years later.
But there have been black elites that have established, that have had money and land and institutions during slavery.
Right.
And every single time, just like the original mulatto elite and the black and the brown elite, there was a brown elite and a black elite. There were also pockets in the 1920s of extreme wealth and
That's right.
Not just Tulsa, Oklahoma.
But
there were black Wall Streets all over the country.
Look at Harlem.
Right.
Harlem.
And each time they were bombed, they were attacked.
Stolen.
Two things happened. Blacks is making money and living good, and whites is looking at their bank account and it don't look good. Right.
So we're gonna go and take the black people's stuff,
or at least destroy them. They didn't actually take black people's stuff. They destroyed everything.
Well, look at the numbers game up in Harlem.
That is correct.
Bumpy Johnson.
That is correct.
And
that
Queen.
Is correct.
That's a true story.
That is correct.
You know,
that is correct. And who took the numbers game?
Dutch
Who took the numbers game ultimately?
The government.
The government.
The government took it. The government took it. Right.
The United States government.
But you wouldn't believe it's still street numbers today, though. You know, there's still street numbers.
Of course.
Street numbers are always going to be around.
Of course.
But Nat, this election is coming up.
Right.
This is the most important election of our time.
Right.
The black president didn't do anything for black people.
Right.
We fell into that false sense of security.
There was a couple of little trickle downs, but it wasn't designed for black people.
No, it wasn't designed for black people.
Know,
it was designed for the middle class.
Right.
And if you were middle class, you got a part of it, the trickle down.
Right, the trickle down.
But it led black people into, again, a false sense of security.
Well, I don't know if it was security or just nirvana.
Hope.
Yeah, it was right. It was the we have arrived.
Right,
you know, it was living vicariously through the Obamas.
Right.
Which in and of itself is not a game plan.
No, because he's benefiting and not you.
And that's the problem I have with hope. Hope is not a game plan.
No.
Hope is like you sit on your ass
and wait.
And hope
for the best, right?
And
hope is gonna knock on your door.
Right. No other animal does that.
Right.
Every other animal has a game plan.
Right.
The ants. They say we got it.
Right.
You know,
and they do it as a team.
There's an ant that lives on the desert.
Right.
You can't even come out and hunt nothing. You have like 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
That hot
The
sun
You gotta
doesn't cook you or whatnot.
But he got a plan.
They got a plan. They got a plan.
But
they
wait,
got a plan.
but Nat, I'm gonna tell this to you guys now. This is the most important election of our time. I know some of you all don't think it's going to count, but it is going to count. Our forefathers have sacrificed for us to vote. It is your right to vote. Don't sit back and don't vote. Because if you sit back and don't vote, you'll be the first one to complain. This is important. This is important.
Everything is important, and I will say this. Black people, poor but poor black people specifically,
Right.
more than anything else, but poor people generally, this is a moment of truth.
It really is.
Wasn't no rats running across my kitchen counter.
Nope, neither was mine.
And when you talk about the NYCHA housing, you're talking about project houses.
Right.
And rats was coming up through the toilet.
Yeah.
Rats usually, it's very seldom that rats would come up that high. Rats like to hang out. There's some rats from Norway that like the roof. But these was big old rats.
Right.
You know.
Big as a cat.
Right, big as a cat. And when you get 5 or 6 of them, 5 or 6 of them together don't run from nobody.
No.
They attack.
Especially New York rats.
If you get a rat by himself, he might think twice and scurry on. But
again,
when they have a gang of them, they're taking what they want.
See the symbolization there?
Right.
You see the symbolization?
Right.
And I would tell people, listen, especially like Nat said, the poor black people, NYCHA, the projects, Section 8.
Right.
Donald Trump has cut $16 billion from that budget.
Yeah.
You're affected by it. You need to vote. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
And you're in housing. They're building complexes to the sky in New York.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, all of the United States is going toward the upper income earners of the world.
Right.
Of the world. We're talking, it takes a whole lot of money.
Right.
When you talk about NYCHA housing, with NYCHA housing being the way it is, and they want that
They want
housing.
that. They want
You're talking
that.
about
The
whole
space.
blocks.
We're talking about 4 or 5 blocks.
Right. That's why they're using the RICO Act to come and charge all your kids with being gang members and whatnot, so that they get rid of them. Then they can get rid of grandma who lets him stay there.
Yep, because he's a felon.
That's right. And you can't allow them to come in. You have a whole lot of people who have been smoking cigarettes a long time. You can't smoke cigarettes anymore.
Yep.
This is land grab on a major scale, and they're cutting back all the funds for this housing. They come in for you, and your ignorance to the fact that you are being attacked is not going to save you.
No,
that's just going to expedite the matter.
That's exactly right, because guys, you know what? We're looking, especially Manhattan.
Right.
Manhattan is the most sought after real estate in the country, in the world.
Right.
Now, Carver projects, all on Madison and Park Avenue, Lexington houses, Lexington Avenue, First Avenue, 2nd Avenue. If you look up Park Avenue after 96th Street, you see projects on both sides.
Right.
They're coming.
Right.
They're coming for you.
Right. And they're massive amounts of land. I'm talking about like it's billion-dollar real estate.
Yeah.
It's billion-dollar real estate. And they have complete autonomy over the air rights.
Right.
Which means that they can build
they keep building up.
Clear up to the top, way past the giant and his goose.
Right. That's right. But look at that. Look
heaven.
They just built a high rise on Park Avenue down by 14th Street.
That's right.
That building is 120 floors.
Right.
So you can't go this way. You can't go.
They're taking all of the riverfront in Manhattan and Brooklyn.
But look at the housing projects on FDR. to overlook the East
That's
River.
right. That's right.
They want
That's
that.
right. And they're going,
They're going
clear up to the sky. I
Yep.
mean, way past anything conceived of in Babylon.
See, and you guys have to understand something. You're starting to see a lot of Asian,
Right.
a lot of white,
Right.
and these NYCHA housing.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna predict what's gonna happen. These people are gonna come in, they're gonna go to the bank,
Right.
and then the bank is gonna co-opt them,
Right.
and you're gonna be forced to leave to
Right.
move.
Because as a matter of fact, that's happening uptown.
Uptown,
Places like Esplanade.
Yep.
When you take out these massive loans from the bank, ultimately you've ceded everything to the bank. The
Yep.
bank now controls all of your resources, and you don't have the capacity to pay. You're not going to get anything out of the deal.
And then see, and this is why I tell people, these people that do that, they're gonna come in and try to co-op it. Don't co-op it.
Correct.
Don't co-op
Correct.
it. Because co-op you don't own, you own a
Correct.
share.
Correct.
What you want to do is condo it.
Correct.
Where each
Correct.
each person owns their own outright.
And I tell you, if I was in a co-op, and we would and the co-op was contemplating taking out millions and millions of dollars in loan,
I would vote
I think
against
I'd
it.
sell.
Yeah, I'll sell too. I'll sell it right back to the board.
I think I'd grab me some money and
go.
get out of there.
Yeah, go.
Because it's a time bomb ticking.
Because all it is going to do, you're going to get foreclosed on.
Right.
Because you can't make the note.
Right.
And it's usually the first or second note you can't
Right.
make.
Right.
And then what's going to happen is
Right.
then the president of the board is going to say, look, we need to go up on maintenance
Right,
charges.
right,
Now, the average maintenance charges.
And they're gonna flip the damn thing 3 or 4 times,
Right.
so you can never make the payments because
Right.
they're just gonna go up
Up
and
and
up
up
and
and
up.
up.
You know, it's,
And then the people don't understand that.
you gotta
You may
talk
be
about it. Ted.
ignorance is not an excuse.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse. If you guys don't get it, you need us to understand it, and you to whatever, contact Nat, contact me. We can sit down and we'll talk to you about it. But you got to come.
You need to act in your own best interest, and you got to make sure that the board you elect is acting in the best interest of everybody, not just because a lot of times we think that we're going to be chosen to be the honorary, wonderful people if we just if
Go
we
along, get along.
engage
Right,
in a
right.
little bit of white supremacy.
Right.
And
No.
white supremacy don't light it. It's just a time bomb ticking.
Right, right.
As long as you serve the purpose of getting rid of everybody else,
Right.
it's fine.
Right.
But your day
It's
is coming.
Yeah. Don't get fooled by the okie doke.
That's right.
Because that's all it
That's
is.
right.
And I'm gonna tell you guys, we said this. We've been saying this for years. You people that live in NYCHA housing,
Right.
you better wake up.
Right.
If you need to take care of where you live,
Right.
if you don't take care of where you live, you know what they're gonna do? Is they say they
Right.
don't care.
Right.
You don't like it.
And you're sitting on your best opportunity for a better future for generations to come.
Right.
For 99% of the people in NYCHA housing, you're not going to get a better opportunity for at least a couple of generations, if ever.
This is the time, Nat. This is the time.
You have massive amounts of land at your disposal.
Right.
You have control of your neighborhoods.
Right.
Control of the school system.
Right.
Control of everything right in your hands.
You have the
in your
infrastructure.
hands.
You have the
have
infrastructure.
everything in your
You
hands.
have the infrastructure.
You're never going to get this opportunity when you're forced out and you're all
It's too late.
alone and you have to survive on your own. The only thing that is preventing NYCHA housing from taking advantage of the opportunity is the fact that they cannot come together as a group
Yep.
and force.
Right.
I'm not saying ask.
Yeah, force.
The system to accommodate them and stop thinking of themselves as beholding to the system
Right.
and start thinking of themselves as the holders of the system itself.
And Nat, you couldn't have said it better, because I tell you guys all the time, people stop me on the street, I say, guys, you know what? don't hate your neighbor.
Right.
You need to make your neighbor your ally.
Right.
And you guys need to.
Right.
You can force change.
Right.
We force change.
Correct.
Every single day.
Correct.
You guys need to stop hating each other.
Correct.
Because you all live in the same block.
Correct.
Force the change.
Correct.
Push back.
Correct. And this stuff about, oh, we all got to do this and get along or what. Listen, if you can't get along with the people whose children went to school with your children.
For years
and generations, how the hell you going to get along with anybody else, least of all some stranger that you don't know from a hole in the wall that just wants your stuff?
Right.
It don't make no sense.
You want to roll today, because you want to roll every day. But that makes it can't get any clearer.
Right.
You can't say it any simpler. You know?
Right.
It's that you have the pot of gold. You have that lotto right there that you're living in.
Right.
You're living somewhere in a 3-bedroom paying $800 a month.
Right.
The average 3-bedroom in New York goes for $5 grand. But moreover, wait. NYCHA, the most sought after thing in New York City is parking.
NYCHA has everything. I'm talking about
you park for $300 a year.
Right.
I pay $800 a month to park my car.
Right.
You pay $300 a year private parking space.
Right. How is your school system messed up? You are the damn school system.
The whole, everybody in the project
is going to one school for the most part.
Right.
How the hell do you not have control of the school?
How the hell you don't have books? Computers?
How the hell do you let the mayor and some chick from out of town put up cardboard walls and divert inspectors? How do you allow this to go on for
decades,
for generations? How do you allow this?
I don't, and help me understand this, Nat.
And you let that freaking Eric Adams come in a day late and $1 short. I mean, he's never been at the forefront of anything. You let him come in, you think he's going to sucker your ass into electing him mayor? If he wants the job, make him earn it.
Yeah.
They make you earn it.
Right.
They make you earn it.
They're quick to say no.
When you go to work, if the master come in and whatever it is your assignment was, if you didn't fulfill that assignment, your ass is gone.
Right.
Your ass is gone. Those people work for you. Your city councilmen,
they work for you.
Your assembly persons work for you. I've heard a lot of stuff. I've heard people running for state office that says, well, this is not my responsibility. My ass.
But the constituents buy that. They let them get away with that.
They let them get away with that. We have state assemblymen. As a matter of fact, we just had a whole bunch of state assemblymen.
Afesis Marcus, and all those guys.
He's not in the state. He's running for something. But I'm talking about State Assemblyman Al Taylor. It's not his from Washington Heights. It's not his specific responsibility to put out functions about and come to find out they had a function at the state office building about sealing and sealing records if you have like 2 misdemeanors.
Right.
That has just become law. That was due to efforts of state assembly persons and state senators like Al Taylor, like Brian Benjamin. This is not specifically their assignment. Their assignment is legislation. And they had judges who were involved in this process. This was not their assignment.
No, and that you got to force your people.
You have to,
if you're gonna go out, guys, you're gonna go out and vote, but you got to hold these people accountable.
Correct.
That's what it's all about.
Correct.
You hold them accountable, Nat.
And you got to find out whose side are they on. If they're not really on, if they're only on their own side, they're no good to you.
Don't vote for them. Don't vote for them.
You just put a poisonous snake in the baby bag.
Like I tell people, you know where I'm gonna go with that? What's his name? Charlie Rangel. Charlie Rangel.
Well, you don't have Charlie to kick around anymore.
I
but
kick Charlie around.
Rangel was a mistake.
He was a mistake.
In my opinion,
right.
Charlie Rangel was a mistake.
40 years.
Right.
That's not a mistake, man. You keep electing the same person.
And the biggest mistake, the biggest problem with Charlie Rangel is that Charlie Rangel had a posse of black politicians where he was the godfather.
Yeah.
And
everybody kiss the ring.
Right. The problem with that is you didn't really have independent politicians representing their communities. You had a cabal representing themselves,
right?
And you might get a little trickle down.
But very little, because look at where Harlem is now.
That is the thing.
Harlem is not African American.
Always look at the bottom line.
The bottom line.
And
125th Street.
Right. The bottom line is the bottom line, and you have a lot of young black males in a state of total confusion. I mean, you got videotapes of cats walking up behind cats and sneak them and knock them out for the change of money they got in their pocket.
Right.
I mean, this is madness.
You know what?
This is madness.
But I don't. It's just that I don't understand. I'm lost for words. I'm never lost for words, but I'm so lost for words of this generation doing stuff like that. Crime is going to be crime. I understand that. But you're going to, you look at Uptown. Come on, man.
This is not
You're robbing 80-year-old women.
First of all, you are the only ones who do not understand the stakes that are involved. You think the stakes are the little $50 that you can get from this chain.
No.
But that's not what...
Not even remotely on the table.
But what your ultimate adversary is talking about is billions of dollars.
Billions,
They're talking about all your property. They're talking about... Do you know that many of those buildings, many of those super sky rises are owned by foreigners who never even come in there?
Right. Look at Time Warner Center.
That is correct.
Time Warner Center, the most expensive apartment in Time Warner Center is owned by a Japanese person.
Right.
You know, who's never ever been in there.
Never there.
You look at that. Washington D.C. is owned by China.
Correct.
Every government building is owned by China.
Correct.
You know, the highest point. How does this happen? The highest point in Washington D.C. Who owns it? The Russians.
And they're getting higher and higher and higher. Did you see the blueprints for the riverfront property downtown?
Oh, it's going to be off the hook. We're talking about.
We're talking about the Tower of Babel. We're talking about something from like Star Trek.
Right.
We're talking about.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And if you guys, see what happened to Harlem. Harlem pushed all those black people out to Mount Vernon.
Right.
That's where all the black people were.
Right.
Now they're pushing them to the Bronx. Well, the Bronx is changing.
Now they're pushing them to South Carolina.
Yep. Go south. Go back where you came from.
Go
back where you came from. Because you can't live in the city. If you don't, most people can't live in the city.
Yeah.
You know?
They just had a woman in South Carolina who lost her job. She worked for Charter Communications that was part of that owned Spectrum.
Right.
In South Carolina.
They own Spectrum, own Comcast, Charter owns Spectrum, Comcast, and Time Warner.
There's an epidemic of white folks just getting in the faces of black folks. Some black folks are videotaping.
Right. I saw. Did you see the white lady? You saw the white lady, right?
Right.
Who's drunk?
Yeah, she was drunk.
She was drunk.
She said,
I make $125,000 a year.
She said, right.
Well, if you live in
beautiful,
if you have $125,000, yeah.
Right.
And these black women are just getting there.
I'm 51. I'm beautiful. I'm
white. I make $125,000 a year.
Right.
And she kept taunting them.
And then she'll like grill them and whatnot.
Where do you live?
Right. How much you pay? You know what?
But see, what's wrong with us black people? Because that would not happen to me. I want stuff like that to happen to me.
But shit, at least the black people kept their cool. I have a hard time keeping my cool.
You know me. We know each other.
I've been confronted with a couple of things.
Put it like this.
It was
I wouldn't caught a case. I'm catching the case. Straight up, bro. You know how we are. Because you know what?
They kept their cool.
And you know what? I don't see. I don't believe
it's an epidemic.
Yeah, I don't get it. You're not. What about the two two black people that got shot in I think it was a Walmart.
Right.
A grocery store.
Right.
Nobody talked about that.
Right.
You didn't hear about that.
Over the weekend, and we talk about Pittsburgh.
Right?
And the Learning Tree Synagogue.
Right.
And the 11 people. But remember, in Kentucky, a 69-year-old black man and a 67-year-old black woman was killed by a 51-year-old white supremacist, and there are reports that the white supremacist's name was Gregory Bush.
That's right.
Said to another white person after he did it, white people don't shoot white people.
Right, that's exactly right. We shoot black people.
Right. But before he shot those two black people, the two elderly black people, before he killed them, he was trying to get into a black church.
Right. And I don't know what stopped him. I don't know. You know what?
It was a lie. He couldn't get in.
Right.
He's just a murderer. He's not a thief.
But the thing of it is, I'm okay with going to church with a gun.
Well,
I'm sorry.
The gun is kind of irrelevant because they're coming at you in such waves out of so many sneaky Pete places that the first thing you have to do is understand what it is.
Right.
And what ultimately you're going to have to do with it.
We have to stop being passive aggressive.
Yes.
Passive aggressive doesn't work. Because I'm not going to stand there with my phone and videotape while this white woman or white man gonna sit there and insult me. I'm just not made like that.
We also have to disembowel white supremacy.
Right.
We're gonna have to like Jesse Jackson said about Obama. We're gonna have to.
I don't know if you guys remember that. He thought the mic was not hot. He thought the mic was off, right? The mic was hot.
The only way we're gonna do that, first of all, we're gonna have to stop thinking of white people as the alpha and the omega.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to start looking to self. One of the things about the Nation of Islam, they're mad about the Nation of Islam, and they just pull Farrakhan out their butt whenever they got
Right.
But the biggest thing that the Nation of Islam has always maintained is that we have to separate. Now, it doesn't mean separate in the sense of going somewhere else or segregate.
Right, segregate.
I'm not talking about segregate.
Not segregate. We have to separate.
He's talking about you have to stop thinking of the white man is ultimately the only one who can teach you. You have to start looking to yourself. You have to develop some confidence in yourself that you can do this. Everything I've done in spite of the system, not because
that's exactly
of the system.
Me too. But you also have to stop with this self-hatred, because that's where it is.
But that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's where all the doubt comes from. That's where all of this stuff that holds you back.
It's you.
Is really it's in you.
Right.
And you have to just cast this stuff aside and go for it.
Right.
When I send your ass out there, it's not to be second best.
No.
I'm not sending you out there for the Tonto job.
We're going out there to win.
Right.
We're going out there to win. By any means necessary.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And you know what?
I'm not sending you out there to compete with Tonto.
Right. I'm not sending you out there to compete. I'm sending you out there to be better.
To win.
To win. To win.
You have the only thing you are lacking is the motivation.
That's it.
You are not.
But we're not lazy
lacking
people.
the intelligence. No. What you are lacking is the belief in yourself, the love of yourself. You don't love yourself. You don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in anything that looks like you.
Right.
You don't
think it's possible.
Value yourself.
You gotta, in order to achieve, you gotta dream.
Right.
You gotta have to dream.
That's right.
You gotta have a dream.
Right.
I had a dream that I wanted to be a pilot.
That's right.
Not only did I become a pilot,
that's right.
I owned my own private jet service.
What did he say? What did he say at part of the poem?
Professor Louis?
Professor Louis. He said, I forget the dude's name. He said, but he had a dream of being the rock and roll king like Elvis.
Right. Living upstairs.
Right.
Playing Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
All the girls coming out him.
The bum rush the stage, pull his pants up, but he forgot a couple of things.
His guitar was under the bed, broken.
Broken. And
never took any lessons.
And he never learned to play.
Learned how to play.
And he never learned to play. He had the dream, but he never put his back into it to even try.
But if you have a dream and you want a dream,
you have
I don't
to
have the
try.
concept. I don't have the concept of not trying.
Take your ass to school. Stop listening to all the kids that tell you that the white man ain't gonna let you do this, and the white man ain't got nothing to do with
that.
this.
Nothing. Zero.
The white man can keep you from making money. He cannot keep you from being the best.
Right.
Your job is to be the best. Let the chips fall where they may.
Right, but the white man can't do anything to you because once you learn the game,
the white man doesn't have to do anything to you.
The white man
doesn't have to do anything to you because he has you doing it to yourself.
There you go.
He doesn't have to do anything.
The world doesn't owe you a thing.
It ain't gonna pay you.
It ain't gonna pay you.
It ain't gonna pay you.
If you're still waiting on those 40 acres,
it's gonna steal from you.
Yep.
It's gonna take everything you got if it sees you weak.
Right.
The dogs come after the old and the weak.
Yep. And let me tell you something. You can't beat the system. What you can do is learn the system, don't get comfortable, and anticipate change.
As I said, NYCHA Housing has everything it needs to control its community, but it believes that the system ultimately has control.
But that's that mind fuck. That's that mind fuck.
Right.
Because it's safety in numbers. You got 2,000 people living in a NYCHA project. What happens if 2,000 people come together?
I watch Game of Thrones, and there's this old eunuch guy who was real crafty and whatnot because they busted him up when he was young, and so he lives by his wits, and he always outsmarts his enemy, don't care who it is. He had this riddle, you know. Who has the power? Is it the king with the army? Is it the rich guy with all the money? Or is it the sellsword with who does the killing?
Right.
And couldn't figure out who was the real one that was powerful, you know.
Right.
He said, well, the guy with the sword, he has life or death. Well, you know.
No.
He said, well, the guy with the money. Because he said, well, it's the king. He said, well, no, why you need... He said, it's a trick. It's wherever you think, whoever you think got the power is the one with the power.
Because here's the thing,
if you think that guy over there is the one to fear, that's the one to fear.
That's the mind. That's the mind trick. That's the mind. That's the mind. That's the mind fuck, right?
And
that's how they get you.
And they got us like that. They have us convinced that they control everything. That the reason, not only that, but they give credit to other people for stuff that they accomplished.
Yeah, right. They stole too.
You have this kid. This kid is super smart.
Right.
His pops was super smart. His mama was super smart.
Right.
He can count. But they don't give credit to the kid.
No.
They give credit to the school. It's the charter school.
Right.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. Eva Moskowitz got some magic beans. And she takes little retarded children and makes them Einsteins. And it's all evil. It's all evil. It ain't got nothing to do with your kid.
No,
Without Eva, your kid couldn't wipe his butt. Right. That's what you're telling me? Your kid.
But that's what our people think.
That's what we think.
But they also think they got this, like, you think that people are doing a favor.
Right.
They're doing you a favor.
Right.
Oh, well, they let me live here.
Right.
They didn't let you live here. It's your right to live there.
Right. Until they have a different use for it.
All right, look what time it is.
Oh,
so listen, guys.
Yeah, we still got like a couple of minutes.
Okay, listen, guys. Voting, this is
November 6th.
That's next
This is
Tuesday.
the moment of truth.
The moment of truth is here. I want you guys to know this is not a game.
No.
This is where
No.
it counts.
No.
This election is where it counts, and you need to vote. I want you guys to always shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're still among the stars, baby.
Right.
Not, you go out with it.
And more than that, I want you to understand that you are in for the fight of your life. That you can't just, your kids just can't stay home writing songs about how they hate themselves and hate everybody like them and call themselves a bunch of names and talking about how miserable their life is. Because you just taking the misery to a bigger, even if you hit, you just taking the misery with you to a bigger house.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
And that ain't no plan.
Right. That's very true, Nat. That is very true.
We need the best of ourselves.
Right.
All of a sudden, we have gone from being the greatest builders the world has ever known to not being able
We
to
built this country.
Right. We built the world. We built the
world. That's
pyramids.
right.
I mean,
That's right.
we built the world.
That's right. We did.
Slavery could not have existed in its early stages. There would be no Georgia if the slaves didn't know how to plant rice and okra and stuff like that. They didn't know what to do. White folks didn't even know what to do.
There would be no cotton.
Forget about cotton. They had nothing to eat.
Right. That's right.
We have some of the best lawyers in the world. We had the best musicians in the world.
Yeah.
We had the best writers in the world. All of a sudden, we've gone from the sugar to nothing at all. We have to get over that. But we got 30 seconds. We'll see you next week. It's election day next week. We'll talk to you then. And
shoot for the moon.
That's right.
Shoot for the moon. You miss. You're still among the stars. But at least you got to try. You got to try, guys. Now, Wood.
Learn how to play that guitar up under your bed.
Right. Get the strings fixed.
That's right. Peace. We out.
We out.
All right.